Welcome to Kanerika's podcast, The Digital Shift. If you've spent any time scrolling through X recently, you've almost certainly seen that viral thread.
Oh yeah, the support ticket one.
Yeah, exactly. You know the one. A developer showed this open source AI agent automatically processing, literally thousands of customer support tickets overnight. And we aren't talking about it just like tagging them with a generic label.
Right, it was actually reading them.
Yeah. It was actively reading them, determining the priority, drafting these highly contextual replies, and then updating the team's project board. All of this with zero manual input. The guy just woke up, poured a cup of coffee, and the work was just done.
It is a totally remarkable moment in tech, largely because we're not talking about a basic autoresponder here. We are talking about genuine reasoning and execution happening while the user is entirely asleep. To frame why this matters so much right now, we kind of have to look back at the data. Like, a 2024 McKinsey report noted that 65% of organizations were already using generative AI in at least one business function. But what's fascinating here is that we are now witnessing a massive evolutionary leap.
Moving past just the chatbot phase.
Exactly. We are shifting from AI as a passive assistant, where you type a prompt and wait for an answer to AI as an autonomous agent. You give it a goal, and it goes out and executes it across multiple platforms on its own.
And that is exactly our mission for today's conversation. We're exploring the massive impact of Openclaw, which is this self-hosted autonomous AI agent that is just absolutely dominating tech conversations in 2026.
It really is everywhere.
It is. So for you, the listener, consider this your ultimate shortcut. We're going to survey 15 major applications from our foundational content today. We're touching on everything from reclaiming your personal productivity to orchestrating these incredibly complex multi-agent ecosystems.
And we'll try to do it without getting bogged down in the deep technical weeds.
Right, exactly. But we'll still explain how this stuff actually works under the hood.
Yeah.
Because whether you are looking to just automate your morning routine or scale massive enterprise operations, this is the landscape you really need to understand right now.
It's a massive landscape, but it really all starts with the individual user. I mean, the macro trend of autonomous AI is undeniable, but adoption always begins at the micro level, right? With individuals trying to solve their own daily bottlenecks.
Yeah, the personal pain points.
Exactly. When a piece of technology proves it can literally give you your time back, that is when it sticks.
Right, which brings us to how people are reclaiming that time. Okay, let's unpack this. Starting with the very first thing you experience in the morning. Imagine getting a single telegram or WhatsApp message at 6:30 a.m.
Just one message.
Just one, under 150 words. But it synthesizes your calendar, the weather, trending AI tweets from X, top stories from Hacker News, and even factors in your long-term goals. It's like having a hyper-competent chief of staff who lives in your WhatsApp and just never sleeps.
And the reason that chief of staff analogy is so perfect is because of one critical element, which is context.
Right.
Traditional automations, like, setting up a simple RSS feed or a weather widget, they just push raw data at you. If you have 5 widgets, you get 5 notifications. It is incredibly noisy.
That's just overwhelming.
Exactly. But an agent like Openclaw knows what you actually did yesterday. It knows your schedule for today, so it filters out all that noise. If it knows you have a 9:00 a.m. outdoor meeting and it's going to rain, it highlights that specifically.
Wow.
So the outputs are highly relevant. It is synthesizing information, not just forwarding it blindly.
And that level of context extends right into managing communication, too. Openclaw can actually connect directly to Gmail, scan the messages, figure out what is legitimately urgent, draft replies, and even, automatically unsubscribe you from promotional junk. People are hitting inbox 0 overnight.
Yeah, because it identifies patterns in sender history to make judgment calls. It knows which clients you respond to immediately and which newsletters you always ignore.
But clearing your inbox is really just about managing other people's demands, right? What I find fascinating is how this handles your own internal chaos, like your passing thoughts. People are essentially turning this into a second brain.
Oh, the semantic search stuff.
Yes. Say you're walking down the street, you have a random thought about a project, or you hear a great book recommendation. You don't open a notes app and organize it. You just text it to the agent like you're texting a friend.
Which is brilliant because it removes all the friction of data capture. You don't have to open a specific app, navigate to a nested folder, format a note, none of that. On the back end, Openclaw stores it using semantic search.
Right.
And this is crucial to understand. It is not just doing a Control-Def keyword search. Semantic search turns words into coordinates on a multidimensional map. Ideas with similar meanings are grouped closely together.
Wait, so if I texted a random note about a bargaining strategy, and then 3 months later I ask it for that negotiation tactic, it finds it even though I used entirely different words.
Precisely. Because bargaining and negotiation live in the exact same neighborhood on that mathematical map, it retrieves the exact context instantly. You just query it naturally.
It's seamlessly managing the chaos. And it doesn't just store thoughts, I mean, it acts on them. People are taking their long-term, high-level goals and letting the agent auto-generate daily tasks on Kanban boards, like Linear or Trello.
And it's doing this by working backward from the big picture.
Wait, so it's not just pulling from my scattered to-do list, it's actively looking at, say, a 6-month product launch goal and breaking it down into what I specifically need to accomplish this Tuesday.
Exactly that. It assesses the timeline, recognizes dependencies, like, you can't design the graphic until the copy is written, and builds your daily queue.
That's wild.
Yeah, you just sit down and focus on the actual work while the agent maintains the entire organizational system around you.
So we've solved the digital calendar. But a calendar is entirely useless if you don't have the physical energy to execute it. That's where the jump from digital screens to your physical living space happens.
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture, once you trust an agent with your digital life, your calendar, your private notes, the next logical step is trusting it with your physical environment. We are seeing a really powerful bridge between digital scheduling and physical living.
Like with smart home control. The agent integrates with Philips Hue lights and air quality monitors. And it's not just acting like a glorified clapper that turns lights on and off.
Right.
If the agent sees a focus block on your calendar, it autonomously dims the lights and adjusts the temperature in the room to help you concentrate.
And it gets even more integrated when we look at health and fitness tracking. Openclaw can cross-reference your wearable data, like Whoop Strap's recovery scores and heart rate variability, with your calendar via API hooks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so if you had terrible sleep and your physical recovery is at 20%, the agent proactively flags schedule conflicts. It might suggest moving that heavy, cognitively demanding brainstorming session to tomorrow.
It's literally treating your physical state as just another data point to optimize your day. And then people are scaling this up to the whole family, too. The agent can monitor the family WhatsApp or Telegram chat.
The grocery list use case.
Yes. If someone texts the group, "Hey, we are out of milk," the agent parses that conversational text and automatically adds milk to the shared digital grocery list. If someone mentions a dentist appointment for Thursday, it drops it onto the shared calendar. It does all of this without forcing anyone in the family to change how they naturally communicate.
It just sits in the background.
I have to push back a little here, though. I mean, I love the idea of my lights dimming when I'm tired, but isn't it a bit eerie having an AI sit there and read my family group chat? It feels like a massive privacy boundary to cross. Sending my family's private text to a server somewhere just to save time on a grocery list seems risky.
This raises an important question, and it is exactly why Openclaw's architecture is so critical to its success. Openclaw is self-hosted and open source. Unlike a typical cloud AI, where your family's texts, your sleep data, and your calendar are being beamed up to a massive tech conglomerate's servers to be trained on, this data is staying entirely local. The agent is running on your own hardware and your own private server. You maintain total, absolute control over your personal telemetry. The privacy isn't an afterthought. It is the fundamental architecture of the platform.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because if that level of local control and privacy works for a family's group chat, it is the exact same foundation required for a corporation with incredibly strict compliance needs. If it works locally for a grocery list, how does this technology scale into secure professional environments?
It scales by utilizing that exact same localized architecture, but applying it to highly proprietary business data. For instance, creating a private document assistant.
Right.
By pairing Openclaw with a local large language model, often referred to as a local LLM, like all app professionals can run these massive reasoning engines directly on their own office machines.
Meaning they can upload sensitive financial records or unreleased legal contracts and query them. The agent parses the documents, and the local model reasons through the answers. But those files literally never touch the public internet. They never leave the laptop.
That is massive for legal and finance teams who are bound by strict non-disclosure agreements. They get the power of generative AI without the data leak risk. And software developers are using this just as intensely.
Oh, absolutely.
An autonomous agent can capture software errors in real time via Sentry webhooks, analyze the broken code, write a fix autonomously, and actually open a GitHub pull request for the team to review.
So you have developers merging code fixes from a chat interface on their phone while they're out walking their dog. It's wild. Or look at financial monitoring. It's tracking live earnings reports, enforcing strict stop-loss rules, and executing crypto trades without the emotional panic a human trader might experience.
And it's important to understand how it's doing that securely. It's not a language model just wildly guessing what buttons to press on a website. The agent is designed to output strict JSON payloads, essentially perfectly formatted data packets that trigger predefined APIs.
Oh, I see.
It's a reasoning engine triggering an execution engine, which minimizes the risk of catastrophic errors.
And it's doing it reliably because of how it interacts with the web itself. When these agents do web scraping or data extraction, they aren't just looking at a screen image and trying to guess where the submit button is. They use the Chrome DevTools protocol.
Exactly. This is a massive distinction in reliability.
So instead of a robot looking at a monitor and trying to click a button with a mechanical finger, it's plugging directly into the matrix. It's speaking the browser's native language, communicating directly with the underlying code.
It communicates directly with the isolated browser engine to fill forms and extract data. Because it's reading the raw code structure, it is infinitely faster and far less prone to breaking just because a website updated its aesthetic design or moved a button slightly to the left.
This is exactly what we at Kanerika are seeing on the enterprise side. When we talk to clients, they are practically begging for these autonomous capabilities, but they absolutely need them wrapped in enterprise-grade security.
It's the bridge between cutting-edge capability and corporate reality.
Right. We build these scalable AI solutions on robust Microsoft technologies, things like Power BI, Azure ML, and Microsoft Fabric. And we are deploying our own specialized enterprise AI agents to handle this. We have DocGPT for high-volume document intelligence, Alan for complex legal summarizing, Susan for PII redactions, stripping out personally identifiable information, and Carl for rapid data insights.
Specialized agents.
Exactly. But the core philosophy driving all of them is exactly the same as that local Openclaw setup, keeping the data fundamentally secure.
Security is foundational to everything we at Kanerika do. When you take these autonomous agent concepts to a global scale, you simply cannot play fast and loose with data. That is why maintaining rigorous ISO 27001 and 27701 certifications is mandatory. You have to be able to mathematically and legally prove that the infrastructure can handle autonomous action without exposing the enterprise to unmitigated risk.
But once that secure foundation is in place, the capabilities just explode. Executing a single task, like summarizing a contract or fixing a line of code, is one thing. But we are seeing a true paradigm shift in how these agents interact with each other.
Yes, the leap from an individual agent to an autonomous ecosystem. This is where agents start collaborating and even building their own capabilities from scratch. Let's look at content production and SEO pipelines as an example.
Okay.
Digital creators and marketing teams are setting up dedicated Discord servers where each channel is basically a specialized AI agent.
I love this. So one agent's entire job is purely to research competitor performance and trending topics on the web. It finishes its analysis and then passes that context automatically to a second agent whose only job is to draft the script based on that research. That writer agent finishes and passes the text to a third agent, which generates the visual thumbnails.
And no human is playing the middleman. The research output feeds directly into the writing prompt. It's a seamless assembly line.
But it gets even wilder. People are setting up autonomous skill creation. The agent can literally write its own code to build new skills it doesn't even have yet.
Yeah, the Spotify example.
Yes. For instance, a user told their agent they wanted to track new music releases on Spotify. The agent went into the Claude HUD library, which already has over 1,700 community-built skills, realized it needed a custom integration for this specific request, wrote the code itself, tested it in a sandbox, and installed it.
It is expanding its own utility without human intervention.
I have to ask, though, if the agent is literally writing its own skills and executing them while I'm sleeping and talking to 3 other agents in a Discord server, how do we keep this from turning into a chaotic, hallucinating mess?
It is a vital question, and the answer lies entirely in the architecture, specifically separation of concerns. This is perfectly illustrated by systems like Claw, which is an open-source multi-agent system built on Openclaw. It doesn't use one massive AI trying to juggle a million thoughts in its context window.
So it's not a monolithic brain.
No. Instead of one massive AI, it uses specialized Docker agents. Think of Docker as a perfectly soundproof room.
Okay.
Each agent sits in its own room, completely isolated and focused on one specific job like editing copy or checking SEO keywords without getting distracted by anything else, and they coordinate through a squad lead.
So it is structurally exactly like a human marketing team.
Precisely. You have Inky, the editor reviewing the copy. You have Pixel, the visual reviewer auditing the graphics, and Scout, the SEO specialist. And they pass notes to each other through a shared digital bulletin board called a convex backend, which securely stores all their tasks and current states.
And how do they avoid just overwhelming the system or crashing the APIs they're calling?
They operate on staggered cron schedules.
What's that?
A cron schedule is just a time-based job scheduler, meaning these agents wake up at different intervals, say every 15 minutes, check the convex bulletin board, do their work, and go back to sleep. This entirely avoids hitting API rate limits.
That makes a lot of sense.
When Inky finishes editing a post, it simply mentions Scout on the bulletin board to do the SEO review. Specialized agents with strictly defined roles, working asynchronously, are infinitely more reliable than one giant brain trying to do it all at once.
So what does this all mean? We've talked about the architecture, the local LLMs, the morning texts, and the soundproof Docker rooms. But if you're listening to this on your commute right now, you're probably wondering about the actual real-world bottom-line impact of this technology when deployed at scale.
The impact is highly measurable, and it is staggering. When we look at the data from modernized enterprise operations utilizing these multi-agent systems, we are seeing an average of $1.2 million in annual cost savings in logistics operations simply by automating coordination.
Wow.
Fintech and health tech companies are experiencing a 50% faster time to market for their products because the development and compliance bottlenecks are handled overnight.
That's incredible. Half the time to launch.
Retail and e-commerce sectors are seeing a 28% boost in customer retention because their data operations and customer service pipelines are so much more responsive. And pharmaceutical firms, they are achieving a 30% reduction in complex project timelines.
That is exactly what we at Kanerika are delivering when we integrate enterprise agents like DocGPT and our other specialized solutions into actual corporate workflows. For you listening, whether you are utilizing a self-hosted Openclaw setup at home to manage your grocery list or looking at Kanerika's enterprise agents to overhaul your entire department, the ultimate goal is exactly the same. We are fundamentally shifting the bottleneck of modern work.
And that shift is the most critical takeaway.
It used to be about having enough time to do the work. Now, it is shifting entirely to having enough time to review the work. The agent handles the immense volume, the data parsing, the drafting. You, the human, handle the judgment calls, the strategy, and the final approval.
And that shift in the bottleneck is going to redefine productivity across every single industry. It changes what we value in human capital. We are moving away from valuing raw, repetitive output and shifting heavily toward valuing strategic oversight and creative direction.
It really does change everything. We have covered an incredible amount of ground today. We started at 6:30 a.m. with personalized text messages synthesizing our day, moved through agents seamlessly dimming our living room lighting, explored the mechanics of secure local document processing, and scaled all the way up to multi-agent marketing teams driving massive multi-million-dollar savings in logistics. It's a completely new digital landscape.
As these multi-agent systems become seamlessly integrated into both our homes and our massive enterprise infrastructures, we have to ask ourselves a profound question. Will the future of human work be less about managing people and mundane tasks, and entirely about orchestrating complex digital ecosystems that essentially manage themselves?
That is the exact question we all need to be asking as this technology scales. Thank you for joining us for today's deep dive on the digital shift. As you go about your day today, I want you to think about that chief of staff analogy we started with. Look closely at your own daily bottlenecks, the friction points in your routine, and ask yourself, which of these could an autonomous agent solve for me by tomorrow morning? Until next time, keep exploring.